Welcome to Mostly Business, everybody. We have a really, really great episode in store for you today and excited to have everybody here. We are, as always, we're going live on LinkedIn, which has been really great for the show. We get a lot of people on live and then a lot of people later. So appreciate all of you being here. We get a lot of people watching live on YouTube and a lot of people watching the replays later. So that's really cool too. And with me, as always, is the handsome Ryan Farrell. Ryan, how are you today?
That was nice as hell, dude. I'm good. I've been getting on and off texts about maybe like one of my kids being sick, which is a normal thing for me now. Shocking, I don't know, but other than that, things have been pretty good this week. So, but thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you calling me handsome, Josh. You're handsome as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. That's really nice to hear. And another handsome fella as well. Our great friend Tim Ewing with a nice hat on today. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great, my friend. It's always a great week, when your team's undefeated in first place. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, well, that was an exciting game. I didn't watch the whole game. I was in and out of it, but I did notice one of the highlights I saw was like, ooh, I didn't know that like the Bengals almost scored a touchdown that was fumbled, right?
Well, it was Kyle Duggar, our safety, came up and literally hammered the ball at the 1 yard line. It was an amazing play. And he also broke up the previous play in the end zone that we thought was a touchdown. So we just re-signed him in the offseason. He was,
huge defensive plays. I'm getting game saver.
Getting goosebumps.
Well, my audio is cutting in and out a little bit, guys, so bear with me. And I also want to give a warning to everybody watching today that, of course, Tim and Ryan and I all work out of our houses. And today at my house, great timing, I have a crane outside of my window here. There's a roofing company delivering shingles and putting them on top of the house. So you guys might have the pleasure of hearing some of those noises. I apologize in advance for that. But, that's the way it goes sometimes. It's like when, maybe your dog's quiet all day. And then as soon as the show starts, it's like time for the dog to go nuts, right?
Right. You own that crane, right, Joe?
Yeah, no, I wish. Yeah. I think that the whoever owns the crane and roofing companies in particular, to get back to some business stuff, I think a lot of roofing companies are absolutely killing it. Just absolutely. Their margins must be massive because the guys who are doing the company that's doing my roof, I went one of the sales guys. He's not the owner of the company. He's one of their sales guys. I was like, I happened to find out where he lived just by chance the other day. And I was like, Jesus Christ, how much money are you guys making over here? And apparently it's a lot.
I thought the same thing for pool companies a couple years ago. I was like, I got some quotes to get a pool when I moved into my current house.
Yeah.
And not only were they sky high, most of them were like 2 years out. They're like, I was like, well, I just need to get some guys who can build pools.
Yeah.
Start undercutting these dudes because I can't imagine it's that expensive, like through the amount of money they were trying to charge.
What's the cost?
Pool that I was trying? Well, the pool that I was trying to get, the bid was like $85,000.
Jesus.
But it was a badass pool. To be fair, it was a badass pool. It was like a fiberglass pool. They were gonna have to use a crane to get it over my house. So I'd be dealing with Josh is doing, and it had like, I don't know, it was cool. It wasn't like your normal rectangle pool or something, but still,
I think that's a bargain actually compared to. I've heard that pools are approaching 200,000 in some cases now. In-ground pools,
it's wild.
They've gone. The price of the pool is way up, and a lot of. I mean, we've talked about how things are more expensive now ad nauseum on this show, so we don't need to get down that rabbit hole. But yeah, pools are for ballers like Tim, who has had a pool for many years. He's not new to pools. This is 27
and
years.
My pool is almost older than me. It's from 1971. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Well, that's why we call you Old Money Tim Ewing.
The main reason we even wanted a pool is because before we moved in this house, we almost bought a house from a guy who owned a pool company, and like and he did all kinds of backyard stuff, and it was the shit, dude. It was like it looked like a millionaire lived there, and this backyard had everything was built in with stone. It was like a concrete pool, had this hot tub, that was built in, this outdoor kitchen, and it was awesome. The house was fine. I'm kind of glad we didn't get it in hindsight because I was just too fired up about that pool. And then that's why we had all these people coming out to try to get us a pool because we were like locked in for a minute there, and then it didn't work out. So
Nice.
So that's why. But now all of my neighbors have pools, and I'm friends with them now, and they're like, "Don't get a pool. It's a huge waste of time and money when you could just swim in mine." I was like, "All right, we'll just do that for now, at least."
Yeah.
Well, they're like, you can come over during the day even and swim if you want to. Like they work from home.
Yeah.
It's like I just feel weird, you're just like on a meeting and I'm in the back by myself doing cannonballs.
They say that, but they don't mean it. Yeah.
This dude means it. This dude means it. He's like an ex-professional soccer player. He's just the most intense person ever. And so he's all about just being like, come over, use my stuff. Let's go have a drink. He's like that kind of dude. Like, I guess you have to have that kind of personality to be that good at sports. But man, he's the most intense person I've ever met. So I'm seriously waiting for one day when he comes over. He's like, get up, we're going in my pool, and then I'm going back inside. You're gonna use it. Like that's the vibe that he gives. And you know what? He's a little much sometimes, but I love him because that's amazing.
You're one of the least people.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Ryan's one of the least, which is a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird mix between us, but we get along.
Yeah, well, we'll be getting back to pool stuff soon, but we got a lot of things to cover today, so I want to jump in with some of the tasks at hand for today. And one of the biggest things going on in our world right now is that we have finally, and this is literally years in the making, and really, I would say within the last year, Ryan has kind of perfected this process that we call the influence engine, which is like I said, it's been years in the making because I was able to start doing the kind of the basics of what the influence engine is in our business for years because we had a somewhat decent sized company. I had a marketing team, we had budget, we had resources so that we could really kind of have a really robust marketing process that had a lot of firepower. We're generating hundreds of leads every single month. And with the rise of AI and advancements in technology and that stuff getting better and better, specifically over the last 6 to 12 months, a lot of things have changed where we realized over the last year that that kind of marketing firepower that used to be really hard for smaller businesses to even have a chance at doing now is really accessible for pretty much anybody and everybody. And that we had a really great opportunity here to put together a system and process to work with small businesses and show them how they can do it too. Utilizing this is not about a new tool or a new software. It's about utilizing a principle for marketing that will allow you to generate the most leads and convert the most leads, but then using the new AI and tech tools to actually make it doable and efficient, which is really a big part of it. So it's knowing what to do and it's really knowing how to do it. And if we step back, this is really exciting to me because, my entire career has been about solving the biggest marketing and sales challenges that face the small business community. And we've been, ever since I started working for myself, that's what I've been doing. We've pioneered a number of systems that have helped people grow substantially. We've had thousands of customers. And this is maybe one of the most exciting systems that we have ever introduced to the market because it addresses the biggest challenges and opportunities that every business faces in a way that I haven't seen anything done before. So let's talk a little bit about some of the information that we've released so far. A few days ago, we put out the Influence Engine Blueprint, which really sets the stage for why this is so important and a brief overview of what it is. If you haven't downloaded a copy of that it's a PDF quick read, but lots of data in it. And what some of the data shows is that the biggest challenge that businesses face is getting more leads. 61% of businesses say that that's their biggest challenge. And I've seen some studies that say it's even higher, but 61% is pretty damn conservative. And another study that you'll see cited in the report said that companies that implement well-developed lead generation strategies experience 2 times more revenue than they had in the past, or those companies who aren't. And then this is really important. Companies that nurture leads properly generate 50% more sales-ready leads. So it really is clear that the key to growth is implementing a well-developed lead generation system and having the ability to properly nurture those leads over time. So let's talk about it, like what that really means and how to do that. Because it sounds like, okay, that sounds nice, but how do we get more leads? Well, there's actually a lot of tactical ways to do it. For example, you can prospect and connect with new leads on LinkedIn, which is actually something that's part of the influence engine process. But that's kind of the easy part, to be honest. I mean, like, anybody can send connection requests, right? We all get them all the time. So like prospecting and connecting with people on LinkedIn is obviously like no secret sauce there, right? What really sets the people apart who are getting great results from it, from everybody else, is their ability to be seen as a true thought leader and an expert, not a leg humper, right? Not one of the people who's just connecting and sending sales pitches. You have to be seen as a thought leader and an expert, and you have to take some time to nurture these leads properly, which is really, really hard for most people to do. But with the influence engine, it doesn't have to be anymore. But let's talk a little bit about what that means, actually. Some of the data that we shared with you in the report, 82% of decision makers say thought leadership builds trust, and 47% link it directly to purchasing decisions. So half of buyers and decision makers are saying they're making purchasing decisions based on thought leadership content. 55% of buyers reported that thought leadership had significantly improved their perception of the organization's competence and experience. So the data is really, really clear. Like, this is a huge component. Thought leadership, being seen as an expert, is really, really important. But the problem has been, in the past, it took a lot of work to do that, to create this kind of influence. And a lot of time, like, creating the content to do that, to have a marketing system that actually delivers on that, it really has been hard for a lot of people. But this is the problem that we're solving. And I mean, think about any of the people that you follow and that you look up to in the business world. They put out a lot of content, right? Most of the time they do. And so I think a lot of us look at that and think, wow, if I could do that, I would really be, like, things would really be able to change for me. And the other thing too is that, like, you don't actually have to put out a lot of content. You just have to be strategic and consistent. And with the influence engine, you're going to have the right kind of like roadmap and blueprint, along with this technology / AI solution that allows you to do it all without putting in too much time. And the reason that is really important is because you have to be consistent. 60% of buyers, let's go back to the report, 60% of buyers say consistent content marketing improves buyer engagement. So you got to be consistent. 46% of buyers consume 3 to 5 pieces of content before engaging with a salesperson. So this is why you have to be consistent. This is why you have to play the long game. If you do, you get a ton more leads and clients. The data is just overwhelmingly clear. And so to do this without breaking the bank, you need a really clear process for how to do it. And we call our process the influence engine system. And it utilizes a really specific type of content that we call quarterly flagship content. And you'll see that word used in the guide as well. And you're going to hear me talking about that a lot more over the next couple of weeks. Quarterly flagship content, because for most of my clients, they're not trying to be, a Gary Vaynerchuk or somebody like that who's putting out, content every day on all sorts of social media platforms. They're trying to figure out, how can I get the most bang for my buck while also being consistent and having this thought leadership positioning, but also, you don't need to be posting every day anyways, because it's really going to kind of annoy a lot of your prospects. For many of my clients, that's just too much. And so what we find with a lot of people is that a quarterly cadence with a flagship piece of content, that we'll talk more about what that is really all it takes to go from maybe generating a lead or two a month to 10 or 20 leads a month. And I'll talk more about metrics in a second, but you'll see in the guide that the Influence Engine actually is a 5-step process. The first is to identify the pain points that your target market has. Then based on those, map out a quarterly flagship content theme, which means essentially a marketing plan of what you're going to be talking about throughout the next year, with a main focus for each quarter that's going to drive what your quarterly flagship content is. And then number 3, which is highlight that you see there, is all about agitating pain points. And so this is where you're going to start coming up with the specifics of what's going to be inside each piece of quarterly flagship content, using the pain points from number 1, and then looking at how can you really drill down on those to show how your solution is going to help solve those pain points for your target market. And so number 1 through 3 that you see on the guide there, those are really, that's kind of the planning stuff. And then number 4 comes into the actual creation of the content. And that is where most people in the past just threw their hands up because they couldn't do it. But with quarterly flagship content, we're going to show you how to actually get it done really, really cost effective using AI and technology. You still have to do a little bit of proofreading. But Ryan has come up with some strategies for creating content using AI that is long form content. So what we're talking about here, as you'll see in the guide, we're talking about things like white papers, free reports, etc. And these are pretty meaty pieces of content, right? These are like multi-page PDFs that in the past, that would have taken you forever to create. You would have had to get a graphic designer to put it together. Not anymore. And then each of these becomes a very, really authoritative piece of leadership, thought leadership, positioning, and content that you're going to use. And if you have something like that once a quarter that you can drip out to your prospects, it really becomes a complete game changer and is a extremely powerful mechanism for getting your prospects to convert from, let's call them suspects, people you're just connected to bona fide prospects, to bona fide sales leads and clients. And then number 5 in the process is really just figuring out how to get more leads and how to utilize your flagship content and the entire Influence Engine process via LinkedIn, via email, and via groups, which are the kind of the 3 prongs or mechanisms that you're going to use to push the content out and get it in front of more people, get more eyeballs in front that you can, drive towards sales leads, et cetera, et cetera. And so that is really what it is. And now, one thing I want to do, Ryan, Ryan, I know it'll probably take you a minute to pull it up, but could you grab the PDF that one of our clients recently from Elite Financial Solutions? I want to show everyone an example of like what you can do with this process, and that like the kind of content you can come up with just a few clicks of a button once you understand how to do it. While he's doing that, I also want to say for anybody who has done one of my LinkedIn courses in the past, like recently we had a program called LinkedIn Accelerator, you should definitely be adding Influence Engine to what you're already doing and consider this like the next level advanced strategy. So if you're currently getting 10 appointments and 1 client a month, with what I've shown you in the past and with my kind of base level LinkedIn marketing system, with Influence Engine, you can double that, because this is really taking things to the next level. And we'll show you exactly how to do this so that you can get anywhere from 1 to 4 new clients a month using this process. So let me step back for a second here. Ryan's got it up on the screen. This is what a piece of flagship content would look like. And this was a client of ours who's in the financial industry. And if you need help with investments or retirement, anything like that, highly recommend Brooks and Elite Financial Solutions. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is so that you can really see like what this is. And you can see here, this is a really substantial piece of content. I don't know, what is this? 8 pages, Ryan? And
I think it's 11 or something. It's long.
Yeah. And so why is this so powerful? Well, for Brooks, he's a financial advisor, investment advisor, and he's always looking for timely things to send out to provide thought leadership content to all the thousands of prospects he's communicating with on LinkedIn, on his email list, and everything else, right? But in the past, like creating stuff like this and having something like this on a quarterly basis to send out to your prospects is a really heavy lift. But what we've done is really figured out a way to do this extremely efficient and fast, so that you can have stuff like this for your business. Of course, yours will be of different topics and such. But you can have stuff like this on a regular basis. And this is how you can really finally have just tremendous thought leadership positioning to get a lot more leads and sales in your business. So we're really excited about it. I'll let Tim and Ryan chime in a minute. But the step, if you're wanting to get an even deeper breakdown on how all this works, is to sign up for our meeting next week. I'm going to do an overview of the whole Influence Engine process. I'm going to break it down in more detail there. And I look forward to seeing you at that if you can make it. We have a Zoom meeting next Wednesday, the 18th at noon Central. So
this exact.
Yeah, this time. So during this time, we'll be having that call.
Yeah, that's it. So, Ryan, what would you add to that? You've been obviously instrumental in getting this process in place for our clients.
Yeah, there's a couple things. So there's a couple, the main thing that everyone's going to want to hear is like how to use this to get clients. That's like, we talk about that in there, but there's a couple really important things to consider with it. Half the reason we came up with this process was, some of it was just, it kind of happened as we were planning our marketing, but also I talked to a lot of business owners that were very worried about not having enough to say. Brooks is a great example because it's not like a super unique service, right? To be like a financial advisor, there's a lot of them out there, and it's all about building relationships or who you trust. And there's a concept called like the cycle of redundancy, and saying the same things over and over again, and you start to get tuned out. So there's only so many times someone like Brooks or anyone that has a business like that, let's just say you're an SEO agency, right? And you don't create your own content, but you do a great job with SEO or, any search engine marketing. There's only so many times you can reach out to somebody and say like, hey, would you like us to do your SEO? Because they're going to be like, no, you've asked me this 5 times now, but you don't want to give up on your prospects after the first time they say no or ignore you, because all of the data shows that that's a huge mistake, and you need to be reaching out to people more and more and more. So if you create something quarterly, and you can do it more often if you want, but it's like, this is a manageable, really effective way to do it, is if you create something large quarterly, it gives you a reason quarterly to reach out to people, breaking what, I didn't come up with the cycle of redundancy concept, but like breaking that cycle and having something fresh to say and a reason for them to actually care about what you said, other than just trying to sell to them. And so that's one big thing. The other part with the AI element, most likely you've seen a ton of people sharing posts either on LinkedIn or wherever, or blog posts, or people talking about how to use AI for something like this. Most of the advice that is being given out, most of it's fine, but it's very, very surface level, I guess. And it doesn't really provide the best result. There's a whole lot more to go into it. It's not a whole lot more work, but you really need to, there's some nuance to it of how to actually get out there. Cause it's important to note that financial guide, I wrote that a lot of it using AI, but like I don't know about a lot of those topics well enough to write that, but I was able to like essentially come up with a process that allows us to get a really good start, or really, most of the way there for the guide. And but again, most of the stuff you're seeing out there, it's not going to work. You're going to get something very generic, and you're going to get something that doesn't give you a great result. And I know that because when I started doing things with AI and the different AI tools like ChatGPT and the others, is I tried the stuff that they told me, and everything that was spit out felt like I was writing it was like a blog post written by like, a 22-year-old grad at a big company, and they're just trying to pump out articles, right? That doesn't actually give you any substance. That's where I started. And then I had to figure out like, well, I'm going to try to actually make this work. And so I played around with it a whole lot. So I'm not just typing in, write me a white paper about financial considerations in the around the election. There's a whole lot more to it, but it doesn't mean it's a whole lot more work. You just got to put in the right information for it to give you something that actually is worthwhile. And so those are the two things is, it gives you a reason to reach out to people, gives you a way to become a thought leader, an authority in an industry, but it also, it gives you a whole lot of tools to use to market. And it's not all that much work, especially when you know the right way of using AI for it. And we're going to be talking about that. We'll be talking about that on the meeting next week, but that's the thing I'd add. Like that, those are two really important things to consider. And I think it's a really cool system, and it's a really reasonable system for a business owner to do. There's a lot of really cool things. The stuff that Gary Vee does is great, but it's a lot of work. He has a whole team doing it, and you probably don't. So
it's been a huge part of our business for a long, long time. And, we've been using this kind of approach in our marketing for years. I mean, think of all the promotions we've done, Ryan, where we always start with a PDF guide, report, white paper, ebook type approach. It's ton. And like we would do it in a bunch of different levels and layers to it. And again, like Josh mentioned, we had a team. So like I don't want anyone to think that this is something new, because the AI part is new. It used to be a lot more work, to do it. But even, we would have, whether it's done quarterly or, we'd have, even once a year, we'd have a big launch, and we'd frame like one big theme for the year. And out of that big theme and big concept and big idea, we would break it down into a bunch of different other smaller topics that we would send out. It really set the tone for the year and allowed us to be focused, which is really, at the time, was even more important than it is now, because it was expensive to have all these writers and people doing all of this. Now, you're still going to do some work, but I know from my standpoint, we've had some great writers that we've worked with, so I don't want to complain if they're listening, because they were great. But there are some times when you have, like, especially when you're bringing on new writers to do things, if you don't have time to write, and you give them a directive and tell them what you want to write about, and you give them some material, and then you get something back, and you're like, what the hell is this? Like, it gives you, the expert, a little bit more control over what it says without needing to block off days out of your, so much time out of your calendar for it. So it's been a huge part of our business. And a lot of it was just because it was efficient, like, let's come up with some big ideas. Coming up with new big ideas every, time we do something it doesn't work. Like, this big idea works. It resonated with people. How do we take that and chunk it out into different content? That's really kind of what we're doing here. And the way we're illustrating that is through the prospect pain points, which is on that graphic. It's like you figure out what your prospects are struggling with, and that'll help give you a guide for what kind of content you should be doing. And and then it'll help you kind of map it out, help you visualize what it should look like. And again, we'll be talking about a lot of that on the meeting next week. It'll be a pretty casual, cool thing that we're doing. I really like this strategy. It's something that I meet with some of my friends every week, just as like a really informal, if you could call it, mastermind. And I've been talking about using this strategy with them. It's just like we help each other out with any problems that we have. So it's not something that it's something that I genuinely believe in, and something that I think people should be paying attention to. Yeah, people who do this are going to get more leads and clients and be much more effective in their marketing.
It'd be shocking if they didn't.
Yeah. Tim, you were going to jump in a second ago.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and kind of go back to the very beginning, really what you said, Josh, and you kind of touched on it just now, Ryan, is I think so many people that do content, they often honestly brag about themselves way too much. So, Josh mentioned, and Ryan as well, about, really discussing the pain points. So in other words, the content is going to be relatable to them. It's going to be things the prospects are going to want to read about. You're not going to brag about yourself every day. We're going to teach you to give content that is going to be of interest to your prospects. So it's a really different twist, because I see so many people on LinkedIn just talk about their business over and over and over. And we prefer, I'm going to say what, 80% maybe mix talking about yourself, and the rest of the time is about these pain points for customers. So I think that's a really different way to think. And so come join us next Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really excited about it. And I also want to say, I was just pulling up some stats. We have 84 people already registered to be with us next Wednesday. So appreciate all you guys signing up early. And those are all people who have read the guide already and clicked the link in the guide to sign up for the meeting. So yeah, go sign up for the meeting, guys. We'll see you there next Wednesday. I also want to just say we've had over 1,000 people now who have downloaded the guide, which is really, really exciting. So just, it feels good to be getting these ideas into the hands of a lot of people that it can really help. So I hope it'll help you too. And we'll see you at the meeting on Wednesday, the 18th. And I look forward to it. Moving right along with the show today. I missed, what was that little breaking news banner that I just saw on the bottom?
Let me put it back up. Breaking news, 84 people just outed as geniuses.
Yes.
So if that's you, then you're in the breaking news right now. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Love
nice. Yes. I totally agree with that.
That's my one salesy part of this, I promise.
Yeah. All right. So moving right along, I thought this was a really interesting story that Ryan brought to the table today about how fake online reviews and testimonials are causing headache for small businesses. What's this all about?
All right, I'll share my screen here in a second. But while we're talking about it, it's this isn't like a new thing, I would say, but it's been more prevalent lately, especially with everything being so there being such like a divide in the way people think. But essentially they found out it's like more and more businesses are getting fake reviewed, like review bombed, even if they're like people that have not been there. And it's for a couple reasons. One of them, it could be by competitors, as some of the speculation here is like competitors review bombing other people in the local area or different competitors to make people choose their product over theirs, which is just a Bush League bullshit move. It's ridiculous. Another thing is if you're a business owner and you have any sort of like your personal thoughts and beliefs on whether it be politics, religion, anything. I mean, one good example is I'm a Missouri Tigers fan, like football fan. There was a player that transferred from a different school and his dad got review bombed for his like insurance agency because the kid went to school here instead of their school. And there was a bunch of, it was like hundreds or something like that of people saying that he's terrible at his job and he's, this makes poor decisions for his family, stuff, shitty things like that.
Wow.
And so it's been getting like, that's just one example, but and this website just adds up the butt. But it's one thing. So it's becoming an issue, and it's becoming an issue, not just for like for bigger businesses. Like it's an issue for like the movie industry and different things, but for smaller businesses, it can actually like really break you. If someone goes to look up someone in the area, whether it's a restaurant or a professional service, and they have these terrible reviews. Like I'm not going on it. If someone has like a 2-star rating, I'm personally not going in to read why. Usually, I'm just going to find one that doesn't have that. So like even if they are ridiculous and clearly not somebody who's been, it can cause huge damage. And so I don't really understand. I mean, I'd have to look into it more, but it looks like the FTC is trying to figure out a way to combat this to help small business owners out there. But I thought it was something that that's worth noting. It says like fake reviews not only waste people's time and money, but also pollute the marketplace and divert business away from honest competitors. That there's like the rule. I got to figure out what the rule is. I hadn't read this in a couple of days, so that's on me. But it's supposed to, stop people from being attacked this way, or stop like people being able to use bots and automated tools to just start like review bombing other businesses. And it's a shame that it's got to this. honestly.
Is this happening on Yelp too, Ryan? Just out of curiosity, part of this? Is that one of the?
Yeah. I think it's just happening anywhere that you can do reviews. So I think like
People
it's
are
probably Google
horrible.
reviews.
People are horrible to do this to somebody's business. I mean, that's just despicable. Not that I have an opinion, but
And it looks like, businesses who know it. I mean, people are like buying, like there's like review bomb, like troll farms that you can, pay money and then it'll be somewhere like, someone will just go and create a bunch of accounts somewhere and then talk about how bad your business is, even though they've never been there, which is just ridiculous. I mean, it reminds me a lot of, I remember when Facebook marketing was really big. It still is, but like when it was like huge, like 8 years ago or whatever, with Facebook ads being the main ad platform that everyone used, there was like issues with competitors using like click farms to like not to make themselves look good, but to click ads and drive up the price of their competitors' ads, which is just also ridiculous. I'm sure that happens on Google too. But if that's how people are going to try to grow their own business and create a competitive advantage, they're going to fail anyway. Why drag people down with you? Because that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I thought it was an interesting story.
So let me just make if you went down to the bottom of the article there, it basically says the FTC is now basically banning anyone from selling or buying fake reviews. And so that now businesses can be fined, and it's kind of quasi illegal to do that, which, I mean, for a long time, that was a thing that there's like businesses that would basically, you could just buy that as a service that they'll give you reviews, right?
Yeah, but I just don't know how they're going to enforce that. Like I'm sure they have ways, but like, how do you know?
Well, it's kind of fraudulent. It's like it's deceiving consumers. So I see two sides where you have businesses that obviously, if you're a small business and someone's dumping fake negative reviews on you, that's going to be really harmful to you. But then there's also consumers who want to go online and see honest reviews and not be deceived by, oh, look at this business with all these 5-star amazing reviews. And then it's like, they're all just bought and faked. So it's like, oh, it's not really, this business actually stinks, Yeah. And so, I mean, to me, that they should make that not allowed. And if it's fraud, then,
I'm just wondering how they're going to, I'm sure they have ways, but how they
how do you monitor it? Because we could all go on right now and review, let's just say, a restaurant we've never been to in a city we've never been to, no problem,
Yes, so, but that's a very minimal thing. What they could do is go after any companies or like legit operations that are out there doing it. Those could be found.
Yeah, those can be gotten rid of, and then unless they're overseas or something, and that could be difficult. And I'm assuming they have to work with the different tools like a Yelp or Google or any of the like more niche ones that are like the G2 and stuff, and just say like if you notice some weird behavior, because that's the same thing that's happening with like any shows that have a shows or movies. Like this is a larger thing that have any creators that are like remotely political, regardless of which side they're on. They're like they're getting like review bombed, being like, this is terrible, but it has nothing to do with the product. The product might be terrible, who knows? But like it's the moment the show's released, there'll be like hundreds of negative reviews on it's like you've watched the whole show in 1 minute. Right. There's no way. Like it's silly that people do this and spend their time, aside from businesses doing it and buying fake reviews. It's just crazy that people spend their time doing this. Like what a weird way to live.
Right. But those are operations. Those aren't like there might be some normal people in there doing that, but a lot of times that kind of stuff, those are like sophisticated operations.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Especially if you're talking about political content of any sort. That's really interesting. It'll be interesting to see where that goes though. And I will say, as in some ways, all this online stuff has made the world not a better place. You hear a lot of stories about the effect it has on children and how it's changing people's brains, and people are pale and pasty because they don't go outside, and so there's more ugly people in the world. but I do like a good, honest online review. So I hope we get more
absolutely.
of them, like Yelp. I'm a huge Yelp fan, man. If I'm looking at like going to a new restaurant or something and like I see that it's like 3 stars or something, if it's like shockingly low, I'll be like, that's not good.
Especially if I'm out of town. If it's not like, I don't know, mid to high 4 stars, I'm probably not checking it out.
Yeah.
If you have limited amount of time, like
3.5 is tough.
If I don't know about the place, if I go to somewhere and I see like a 3-star rating, even in my own city, I guess, and it's me and my wife going out to eat, then because like with kids, we're probably going somewhere that's like we know. But if it's just going, I mean, I'm not going to pick that place, which is a shame, but like I don't know what's real and what's not. And I'm also not going to go probably sift through 50 reviews to see like if it feels real or not.
You know what always cracks me up too is I always see on Yelp, like you'll see like Subway will have like 1 out of 5 stars. And I'm like, what are these people expecting at Subway? Like you have to rate it for what it is. It's not, it's a Subway.
You can't compare it to a 5-star whatever.
I'm going to start reviewing these Subways and giving them 5 stars because for what they are, they get 5 stars.
It's just McDonald's buying bad reviews, Josh. That's what it is.
I think you're right about that. It's Jersey Mike's.
I also just don't know who's reviewing some of the places that get reviewed. Yeah, there's I don't know who's spent like sometimes it blows my mind that people spend I appreciate people that do honest reviews, especially on products, but it's wild to me going on and seeing how many people will do reviews on like toilet paper on Amazon or something.
I think what happens with the Subway thing is like the people who are doing Yelp reviews usually are like they're not reviewing Subway. But then when someone goes there and has a really bad experience, then they're like, I'm going to leave a review about this. And so that's like the only one the Subway gets,
Yeah, that's true. Do you guys remember that whole thing with bad reviews for like sugar-free gummy bears?
No.
Giving people diarrhea? Oh my gosh, I'm going to find it and send it to you guys. There's like, it's turned off like there was like one really funny one if someone made like a really graphic, like clearly trying to be funny, but like apparently if you eat a bunch of sugar-free gummy bears, it's going to like give you diarrhea. Like it's not good for you, whatever the substitute is. And so now there's like thousands of like creative writing. It's almost like creative writing about what the gummy bears did to them and how they felt. And it's hilarious. I actually wonder if it helped sales with it because of how like it went like kind of viral if people just bought them just to see if it's true.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it hurt them too. Because if you're like, well, I don't want to buy those and then poop myself.
Well, I want to go back to a point Josh made. It's a question for both of you because, as you know, I don't have children. So smartphones and kids walking around of kids in our neighborhood, and I swear to God, I almost never see, say, a 15-year-old not walking like this, holding it.
Yeah, man.
And a question for you parents, because they're trying to make a law, and they're actually trying to pass it in California, where you have to be 16 to own a smartphone. How do you guys feel about that as parents? Personally, if I was a parent, absolutely. So they give them flip phones where they can text their parents, they can call their parents or friends or whatever, but that's it. How do you guys feel as dads?
I'll keep the phones away from my kid as long as I possibly can. I think that is great. I also agree with the whole movement to get phones out of schools. So I'm down.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I don't like a law that says anything like that because I agree with the law in general, but I don't like a law telling me that I cannot, just out of principle, tell me I cannot do something that is not like a clear harm. You know what I mean? Like
it's like it is a clear harm though.
It's not like you can't give a 12-year-old a gun. I understand that
you can't give them cigarettes.
But it's like it's not on the level of those. I don't think. You know what I mean? Like it to me, it could be.
It's like saying it's my right to not wear a seatbelt, but it's the law and for our own protection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think the seatbelt. In general, it's like unless it harms somebody else, like like seatbelts could I don't know. I don't like being told like your kid can like. Then it's like, well, when does it stop telling you like exactly what you can do? Like you gotta let people make some of their own decisions. Otherwise, it's just more so it's gonna make people upset. I actually agree with what they're saying.
It seems unlikely that would actually happen, but what does seem likely to happen is more and more schools will outlaw them.
I think that's great. And
Absolutely.
there's a kindergartner or a first grader. I mean, it might be second grade, first or second grade, that rides the bus with my kids. She was like, when am I going to get it? My daughter is in second grade. She was like, when am I going to get a cell phone? Because this kid has it. And this kid is an absolute shithead. And like, you know, gets in trouble all the time. And I always hear stories about him. And it's like, well, you're not now. Like, I don't know. Like I could see giving them honestly, at any point, a flip phone. Like, you know what I mean? Like if they're going to be somewhere without me, like, I don't think that there needs to be an age restriction really in that. If like, you're going to be somewhere and I'd like to be able to get a hold of you, then, or you'd like to be able to get a hold of me, then that's fine. But yeah, my kids will have flip phones way before that. If they're going to play with something that is smartphone, like play with a tablet at home during like designed hours to do that, then it should be fine.
Yeah.
That's good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. I can't imagine. Like, I mean,
it's easy to say it too. Sometimes it's harder. I do hate some of the judgmental stuff about like anybody that lets their kid touch a tablet, you know, before they're 30 is a shitty dad. It's like, well, sometimes you got to get dressed in the morning and your kid, you know, and it's like they're already ready, so they can have 10 minutes to do that.
Yeah,
I do
our
think
kids
some
are watching Teletubbies on Samsung TV Plus.
Yeah, you know, it's sometimes I think people are a little too on their high horse on some stuff. Like I agree that
Plus has a crazy amount of channels, by the way. That free thing that comes with the TV, you know.
Mine always for a long time mine was set on, so when we'd leave something on too long, it would just default to that. This channel that had like, I don't know what it was. It's like really low budget movies, and they were incredible. Like they were terrible, but because they were so terrible, they were amazing. Horrible acting. But now it defaults to 90s music videos. Yeah. So we're cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's move on. I got a couple things I want to talk about with wine real quick. We have a song of the day. We'll see how much time's left after that. And but I'm gonna quick. I actually have two things about wine that I want to talk about today. First thing I want to talk about is I have recently discovered that it is worth checking out Walmart every once in a while to see what they have on clearance. The other day I was in there. My dad said, "Hey, buddy, can you take me to Walmart?" I took him there to get some stuff, and I was wandering around their little wine aisle. First off, they have a lot of stuff. They actually have some stuff that's high end, and who goes to Walmart for more high end wines? Not many people. And so they have a little clearance rack there with stuff that like obviously nobody's buying at Walmart. While I was there, I found the Duckhorn Napa Valley Merlot. I think Duckhorn makes a really nice Merlot. This is a 2020. I don't know, a year or so ago, I had the 2013, which I have a couple bottles of still, and was like, wow, this is excellent. And so this is not about this wine in particular, though. So I'm not going to do a wine review. But what I am going to say is that I got this for like 30% cheaper than the lowest price I could find on the internet anywhere for this wine at the Walmart clearance rack. So what would normally be, well, I got it for like $30 and it's normally like 50 or something like that, right? So, you know, little deals like that get me excited. I bought 4 bottles. They had like 8 on the rack. I was like, I'm going to leave some for somebody else too. And also I'm like, how many of these do I really want? 4. 4 is the number. So I would recommend you guys check out, you know, next time you're at Walmart buying fishing stuff, stop by the wine section and see if they got any deals. Because there are some there. Yeah.
I'll do it next time I'm there, but there's a few places I like less than being inside of a Walmart.
I've grown to like it.
It's probably the snobbiest thing about me, to be honest with you.
I've grown to enjoy it. They got so much stuff there. What?
What do you enjoy about Walmart? Just because they have everything pretty much?
Yeah, I always end up in there getting some stuff I didn't know I needed that, you know, really gets me out of a jam.
Yeah, like a box fan or, you know.
Yeah. And they have a great fishing aisle. Like they have an amazing selection of fishing stuff at Walmart, like lures and tackle and whatnot. Next thing I want to talk about, as I've thought about what wines have I been buying lately to put in the cellar, I wanted to just do a little public service announcement for champagne. I am finding more and more that sparkling wine and champagne, which is a sparkling wine, uh, is one of the most drinkable types of wine that there is, for a couple reasons. You can open a bottle, and if you're like me, where you like to have a glass or two, but you're like, what am I going to do with this whole bottle? Like, you can open a bottle of most champagnes and it'll stay fizzy. It'll still retain its life and character in the fridge for a number of days, which you can't say that about a lot of other wines. I mean, some do, yes, but you know,
You leave it open or do you top it with something?
Oh yeah, I'll just put like a little cork in it, you know, one of those little plastic, you know, little stoppers on the top. For sure, it'll go flat if you leave it totally open. But yeah. So you can have a glass or two champagne and stick it in your fridge for a few days. The other thing I like about it is it's light to drink. They don't weigh you down. Like red wines sometimes get you tired and stuff. You know, these are a little bit more easy drinking and fun and lively and exciting. So,
and you can do it in the morning and nobody really gets upset with you.
Yeah, so I've been buying more and more champagne. The other thing too is that a lot of champagnes they'll last a long time. So you can buy some decent bottles and put them aside for a rainy day or your next, you know, celebration event, if you will, and they'll stay good for years and years, most of them. And so, and then yes, they are. You can drink them at 8 in the morning, and people are okay with that. So there's that too. Great point, Ryan.
Yeah. I went to a sparkling winery when I went to Napa. I don't even know why we went there. It was just like we ended up there. And it was one of my favorite places the whole time. First off, it was like big and beautiful. But having like a sparkling wine like flight with like a pairing, like with like if fruit or like little desserts. Like it was like but like sometimes I don't. I'll just go there and get like a glass. You know, I'm not gonna have a whole thing every place I go because I don't live out there. So every time I go there, I'm like going to 10, trying to go to as many places as possible.
Yeah.
Like I loved it there. So if you have a chance to go to a sparkling wine heavy winery, do it. It's super fun.
I'm starting to prefer sparkling and champagne over other white wines. You know, if I can have my pick, though. You know, if I'm thinking between like this or a Chardonnay or something, usually I'm going for this.
I'm picturing out on your boat fishing, drinking champagne, like a classy man. Smoking.
I don't think I ever have, but it sounds really nice.
Like, you imagine just being out there by yourself fishing with a big cigar and a glass of champagne or a bottle of champagne, just vibing.
Yeah. That's when you finish the whole bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
maybe
just burp the whole time at home.
I can't do the whole bottle though. The whole bottle. The last time I overindulged in champagne was I was watching the Academy Awards 2 years ago, the Oscars, and I had like, I don't know, a few glasses with some fried chicken, which is a great pairing. And
for the Oscars for sure.
I was like, I don't know if it was the chicken or too much champagne or what, but I was like, oh God, this is kind of not a great outcome.
Every time Dawn's been pregnant, my wife's been pregnant, we've gone to weddings and stuff, and she can't drink the champagne that they automatically pour, and I'll end up drinking it and then having more. And I feel the same way. I just like, man, I feel like I just need to burp for 3 hours or an hour, and then I can get back to it.
You guys were at my wedding recently, and the champagne toast, and they gave out glasses to everybody, and blah blah blah. But like when we were getting everything lined up with the venue and stuff, and I was going through like, what are the wines we're serving here? What's this? This is the one for the toast. I was like, I'm not fucking serving that shit. Get that dog shit out of here. So I had to work with their distributor to get a acceptable quality sparkling wine to have for the toasts.
Because the normal stuff you get is like, it's like a couple dollars a bottle at the grocery store.
Straight poop. It's like carbonated malt beverage. Like the cheap sparkling wine that they serve at most weddings is actual dog shit. Not to be drank by anybody who is respectable in any way.
Well, and nice sparkling wine or champagne is fun too. Because Josh bought me a bottle of Dom Perignon for Christmas one year.
Oh man.
And I remember I had it. I was like, well, this is cool because they rap about it. Like, I don't know. I didn't drink sparkling wine at the time.
I've never had it myself.
Popping that open with your friends is fun. Because it's like, we don't normally, I mean, yes, could we afford that? Yes, but I'm not buying it. I've never done that. And so like, It was fun. We ended up like being kind of drunk at like almost midnight. We're like, should we just pop it open? Like, let's pop it open with some of our friends. And
Nice.
we put
That's
on on like rap music from the early 2000s, blasted it, drank Dom Perignon, and had a really good time.
That
So
sounds
like
fun.
it's like, is something worth $200? The liquid itself, probably not, but the whole vibe with it was fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think there's so many things with expensive wines like that are like, there's so much of it is the brand, the cachet, the exclusivity, if it's limited in some way. But if you put it side by side with a $50 bottle of champagne, you might have a hard time deciding which one you like better. You might. It's tough to say. I don't know. I've never had Dom P, so I don't know.
I feel the same way about bourbon, and I feel the same
Yeah.
way about a lot of stuff. It's like if it's $300 a bottle, it's fun because it's pouring out of this bottle that nobody else has. But it's not. I don't think it doesn't scale well.
I can tell you, we liked the champagne so much at your wedding. The bartender gave us one to take back to the hotel room.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
I got pictures of my wife like drinking out of the bottle after the wedding, which I want to share. It looked good.
I like that. Yeah, it was good. That was a rosé. All right. A couple minutes left. I really want to do the song of the day today. Tim, you got a great one. Tell us about it.
All right, let's do it. I got the vinyl, of course, right here. So this is a guy that for you Spotify users or you use Apple Music, pretty much the same thing, is it'll suggest different artists for you. So I always love to check out new artists. And late last year, I discovered this guy, never heard of him. Went to go to an independent record store. Sure enough, they had multiple copies in stock. And ended up buying. So check out this album cover for a second. There it is. That's what I wanted to do.
I don't know if I've ever seen a better one.
The shirt at the bottom makes it. It's the shirt.
His shirt's a mess. In the back cover too, looks like he's fresh out of prison or something. Look like it's just
the orange.
yeah. It looks like he's in the yard.
That's him. That's not a relative. It's this old guy.
It's really him, and all his album covers, by the way, are quite similar. He's equally neat. So I got to love this guy so much. I ended up buying his full catalog, which is only 3 records. But that being said, I was like, I got to go see this guy. And I'm searching him online. All of a sudden, I realized why he got so popular lately. He died. So this is a record from 2008. I forgot even the name of this song that I pulled up, Ryan, in the link. But fantastic rock blues guy. So check it out. R.L. Burnside.
I like to think that this guy, for his album cover, they had a photographer out there and they're like, all right, do this. And they took that picture and he's like, all right, that's cool. Let's pack it up. Just like, it's over. Like this wasn't an intentional decision to
This is what I want to represent on my album covers. I mean, it's just
like, am I in the picture? All right, we're good.
Look how he's holding his arms too, like kind of out to the side. Like
it's just an amazing album cover. Another one, he's like sitting in he's literally sitting in a cab. That's another one of his album covers, just sitting in the driver's seat of a cab.
I'm excited about this.
I wish I had a chance to actually see this guy live. So, Robert is what the L is for, or the R is for, excuse me. I don't know what the L is for.
All right, this is Robert L. Burnside, Someday Baby.
All right, let's get this thing moving.
That guy's the shit. I love that. That's like right up my alley.
I love it too. You know what? I actually when I have company over, I like to play new music for people. I don't like a Led Zeppelin or Stones record usually when they come over to my house. Occasionally, maybe, but I've played this for I don't know, a dozen people, if you will, over the past year in my house. I think every single person's like, who is this? This is great shit, you know? So
It was way cooler than I even
RL
expected.
I
I
love
expected
it.
it.
I will. Once again, one of the greatest album covers. So check out A Bothered Mind. That the whole record, I'm gonna say there's not a bad song on it. That's how much. If you like that song, you'd like the rest of his stuff. There you have
Nice,
it.
man. Yeah, that's a good. Well, I'll be checking it out for sure. This is maybe the best find we've had so far on the show. So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm humbled. I'm honored. This is great.
if
That
you're
first
on,
minute of that song is the favorite minute of music we've listened to in the show, I think.
Tim, if you're on
He
Yelp,
almost
I'm
like being like
giving
raps
you
a
a
little bit in
5-star
the
review.
song. Doesn't it sound a little rappy, if you will, at times
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the middle
He
there?
told me
But
that
yeah.
was, and also it sounds like a lot like if you told me that was like the Black Keys where the lead singer had a cold.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You know what I mean? It sounds like that's
Sure.
like it's like
Sure.
a slightly different voice. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that got popular after he passed away. So really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we are over on time today, so let's wrap it up with final thought of the day. Tim has a few words to share with everybody.
I will make it quick since we are at 11, at least on the West Coast. So I use a hashtag a lot of times when I go on little adventures, and the hashtag is do cool shit. And this is what this segment's about, is just doing. So I've been on a mission probably since I turned 50, kind of been like this, which was 8 years ago, is just finding new little adventures to get into. And I want to just share one my wife and I did about 2 weeks ago. And she was a little nervous about doing it, but I was like, no, let's go. I'm like the little kid, like, we gotta go. So we did this 3-hour float, and it was a little bit down rapids in the middle of Montana. And we literally like laughed and almost like emotional. Just we couldn't stop smiling the whole day. Picture in the middle of mountains on each side of you, floating down a river in Montana. And the coolest part of it was before the Pearl Jam show up there. And Josh, I know I told you this story. So we're floating. It's a 3-hour float. About 2.5 hours into the float, I was like, wow, that's the stadium they're playing at tonight. What happens in the middle of that river? The band actually broke out into sound check before the show, and I got to sit in the river and listen to my favorite band play. So all I'm saying is go do cool shit, try some new experiences. I get so fired up when I do it, and I'm just like, it's like the happiest place on earth when I do things like that. So I wanted to share that. Try something you've always wanted to try, and that's my final thought of the day, everybody.
And what are the odds that you would do that and then they would start the sound check while you were drifting by the stadium?
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I stopped, I got off to the side so I could listen. It started with like a 10-minute Mike McCready guitar solo. I mean, it was just like, are you kidding me right now? This is what's happening to me. It felt like it was one of the greatest days of my life. It was that good of a day, and I know Montana, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I need to take your advice. I was probably wiping shit out of a baby's butt at that moment. I need to take your advice and go do something.
Yeah.
We
all gotta go do something. Great words of wisdom, buddy.
That would be a new one for me, since I've never done a baby's butt before. So.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say anything about that. I'm pumped for you. That's a cool moment.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Appreciate both of you guys.